How to build wealth without anyone knowing. 7 easy hacks. Your neighbor drives a 2008 Toyota Camry with a dent in the door, wears plain t-shirts from Target, never posts anything on social media. Last month, he paid cash for his daughter's entire wedding, $80,000, without blinking. Meanwhile, your other neighbor with the leased BMW just borrowed money from his parents to cover rent. What's the difference? One learned something the ancient Talmud taught 4,000 years ago. The wise man's treasure is invisible. The fool's treasure announces itself. Here's the uncomfortable truth most Americans never learn. Visibility is financial suicide. The loudest person in the room is usually the poorest. The flashiest lifestyle hides the emptiest bank account. And the truly wealthy? They've mastered the ancient art of staying completely invisible while their money multiplies in silence. This goes against everything social media teaches you. But it's exactly how the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and every old money family built dynasties that lasted centuries, while lottery winners go broke in 5 years. If you're tired of looking rich while staying broke, comment silent wealth right now. Let me tell you what the ancient wisdom keepers understood about money. Number 1. The Talmudic invisible hand principle. Most people announce every financial win like it's a victory lap. Got a promotion? Tell everyone at dinner. Bonus check cleared? Post the celebration vacation. Investment doubled? Casually mention it to friends. Then they wonder why family members start asking for loans, why friends expect them to always pick up the check, and why strangers suddenly resent them for no obvious reason. But that's just the obvious part. The ancient Talmud teaches something that sounds almost mystical. Give with your right hand so your left hand doesn't know. Most people think this is just about charity, but the deeper teaching goes further. Even you shouldn't constantly acknowledge your own wealth. The moment you celebrate money publicly, you invite its destruction. The Jewish communities understood this from surviving 2,000 years of persecution across 100 countries. They never wore expensive clothes in public. They lived in modest homes that didn't attract attention, but hidden away, carefully protected. They had gold, portable assets, and silent wealth that could move with them overnight. Wait, there's something you need to pay attention to if you don't want to lose everything. This strategy wasn't just about physical safety. It was about psychological protection. Public wealth creates 3 invisible enemies: obligation, envy, and expectation. The moment people know you have money, they feel entitled to ask for it, bitter that you have it, and confused when you don't spend it on them. Your net worth should be known by exactly 2 people, you and your spouse. Not your parents, not your siblings, not your closest friends. The number stays locked in silence. Here's what you do starting today. Never discuss your salary with coworkers. Never post purchases or financial wins on social media. Never explain financial success to family members who ask. Create a boring persona. Let everyone assume you're a comfortable middle class. That assumption is your shield. Let me tell you about 2 brothers who each inherited money. The first got $2 million and told nobody. Drove the same car, lived in the same house, maintained the same lifestyle. His friend inherited $500,000, immediately bought a Porsche, and posted constantly about his success. 5 years later, the silent brother had $3.5 million. The loud friend had 0 and was drowning in debt from all the lifestyle expectations he'd created. The loudest person at the table is usually the poorest, because real wealth doesn't need to announce itself. It multiplies in darkness, while everyone else is busy performing for an audience. Number 2. The Stoic invisible armor philosophy. And what I'm about to say is what makes the difference. People buy luxury items to feel successful, validated, and worthy. That designer handbag, the luxury car lease, the expensive watch, they're not purchases, they're announcements. But here's what nobody tells you. Every visible symbol of wealth is a crack in your financial armor. And thieves, scammers, lawsuit-happy attorneys, and financial parasites, they all target the cracks. Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome with unlimited access to wealth. He could have worn purple robes woven with gold thread, eaten elaborate feasts at every meal, lived in palaces that would make modern billionaires jealous. Instead, he wore simple robes, ate plain food, and lived with startling modesty for someone of his position. Why would the most powerful man in the world choose to look ordinary? He wrote the answer in his private journals. The more you own that others can see, the more you own that can be taken. He understood something most people never learn. Visible wealth is vulnerable wealth. It sounds simple, but the hardest part is what's about to be told next. Think about the math nobody wants you to see. An $80,000 BMW lease costs you $1,200 every single month. That's $14,400 annually just to signal to strangers that you have money. A $15,000 used Honda costs $0 per month, plus maybe $2,000 in maintenance yearly. The difference? $12,400 a year that you could invest instead. Run that calculation over 20 years at 8% returns. You just chose a logo over $567,000. You traded more than $500,000 in actual wealth for the temporary feeling of looking successful to people you don't even know. The invisible armor strategy is simple. Drive a modest, reliable car, preferably 5 to 10 years old. Wear quality basics with no logos. Live in a middle-class neighborhood that doesn't scream money. Let your bank account tell the truth while your appearance tells protective lies. A lawyer I know earned $400,000 a year and drove a Lexus with a Rolex on his wrist. When he got sued, opposing attorneys easily discovered his assets and came after everything. His colleague earned $450,000, drove a Camry and wore a Timex. When he got sued, they couldn't find substantial assets to target and settled for almost nothing. Visible wealth invites attack. Invisible wealth invites peace. Number 3. The Babylon Silent Rivers Wealth Principle. But that's just the surface. What's behind it is what will startle people. Americans think wealth building should be visible and trackable, something worth bragging about. They post every investment win, announce every side hustle, and celebrate every financial milestone on social media. Then they wonder why their progress mysteriously stalls, because they're spending energy managing other people's perception instead of actually building wealth. The ancient Babylonian merchants taught something that sounds almost poetic, but is deeply practical. The silent river carries more water than the loud stream. The loud stream crashes dramatically over rocks, evaporates quickly in the sun, and attracts animals that muddy the water. Meanwhile, the silent deep river flows steadily, accumulates power, and reaches the ocean every single time. Wait, there's something you need to pay attention to if you don't want to lose everything. Here's the psychology most people miss. When you announce a goal publicly, your brain gets a dopamine hit from the social validation. And here's the problem. That dopamine hit makes your brain think you've already achieved the goal. Multiple psychology studies have proven this pattern. People who publicly declare their goals are actually less likely to achieve them than people who stay silent. Why does this happen? Because the social validation replaces the work validation. Your brain already got its reward from the announcement, so the motivation to actually do the difficult work diminishes. Silent builders don't get dopamine from announcements. They only get it from real results. That's why they keep working when everyone else loses steam. Real question for you. Have you ever announced a financial goal publicly and then failed to achieve it? Comment yes or no below, because this pattern reveals exactly why silence is more powerful than so-called accountability. Here's your new rule starting today. Create a financial silence practice. 0 posts about money for 1 full year. Don't discuss your investments. Don't announce purchases. Don't share financial plans. The only exception is anonymous financial forums where you're genuinely learning. A woman I know secretly saved for 8 years while her family thought she was struggling financially because she kept declining expensive family outings. At 45, she quit her corporate job to travel the world. Her family was completely shocked. Meanwhile, her cousin posted every financial win on Instagram, constantly got asked for money, and is still broke at 50. The river that makes the most noise carries the least water. Build your wealth in complete silence. Number 4. The biblical Joseph's warehouse strategy. Don't jump to conclusions, because what comes next can change your perspective completely. Most people treat windfalls like permission slips to celebrate. Bonus check arrives? Time for that vacation you've been wanting. Tax return hits the account? Finally, upgrade the TV. Small inheritance comes through, new car deposit. The money appears, and within weeks, it's visibly spent on things everyone can see and comment on. The ancient wealthy did the exact opposite. When unexpected money arrived, it disappeared into invisible storage so quickly that nobody even knew it existed. The story of Joseph in Egypt reveals this strategy perfectly. Pharaoh had a troubling dream. 7 years of incredible abundance followed by 7 years of devastating famine. Joseph's response wasn't to celebrate during the good years. It was to store 20% of everything in hidden warehouses that nobody could see. Here's the critical detail most people miss. The storage was secret. Citizens didn't know how much grain was accumulating. When famine struck and surrounding nations starved, Egypt had a massive surplus that seemingly appeared from nowhere. You think you've understood everything? There's a detail that few people notice, but it's extremely important. The invisibility served a purpose beyond just storage. If people had known about the warehouse surplus during abundant years, they would have pressured Joseph to distribute it, spend it, share it. The silence protected the strategy from social pressure and kept the resources working exactly as intended. Apply this to modern windfalls. Work bonus arrives, silent, immediate transfer to investment account. Tax return, straight to an index fund before you even see it in checking. Inheritance? No new house, no announcement, just invisible accumulation. Every windfall becomes warehouse filling, never celebration material. Here's why the invisibility matters so much. Public spending of a windfall creates permanent social expectations. Get a $10,000 bonus and take everyone on vacation? Now they expect an annual vacation. Get that same bonus and invest it silently? Nobody expects anything, and you're free. 2 brothers each inherited $50,000. The first bought a boat, posted photos everywhere, and everyone knew about his windfall. Family members constantly asked him for loans and resented him when he said no. The second brother invested everything silently. Nobody even knew he'd received an inheritance. 10 years later, the first brother had $0 and debt. The second had $120,000 and zero family drama. The warehouse you show the world is the warehouse that gets raided. Store your wealth where nobody can see it growing. Number 5. The Rockefeller peasant costume principle. And it's in the next section that many people make mistakes without even knowing it. New money screams, "I made it," through designer logos, luxury cars, and Instagram perfect lifestyles. Old money whispers, "I'm comfortable," through quality basics, reliable transportation, and complete social media silence. And here's the pattern that's impossible to ignore. New money disappears within a generation. Old money compounds across centuries. John D. Rockefeller became the richest American in history. He could have worn a new custom suit every day of his life. Instead, he wore the same simple suits for years, ate modest meals, and lived without obvious extravagance. More importantly, he taught his children a principle that protected the family fortune across generations. Never let them see the fortune. It sounds simple, but the hardest part is what's about to be told next. This wasn't about being cheap or denying himself pleasure. It was strategic invisibility. Rockefeller descendants are still wealthy 150 years later, specifically because they maintained this practice. They understood something new money never learns. Visible wealth attracts lawsuits, kidnappers, gold diggers, fake friends, and financial parasites. Every generation that shows off loses everything. The peasant costume strategy works like this. Dress like you earn $60,000, even if you're making $300,000. Drive a car that signals responsible middle class rather than wealth. Live in a home that's nice but never impressive. Spend money on quality fabric and construction, but eliminate every logo and status signal. Look at the pattern in modern wealthy families. The Walton family heirs from Walmart drive pickup trucks and live in Arkansas. Tech billionaires wear hoodies and drive Hondas. Meanwhile, lottery winners buy mansions and go completely broke within 5 years. The data is overwhelming. Invisibility preserves wealth across generations. Here's what you do this week. Intentionally downgrade one visible status symbol. Trade that luxury car lease for a reliable, boring car. Replace your designer wardrobe with quality logo-free basics. Invest every dollar of the difference and track exactly how much freedom it buys you over the next 12 months. An entrepreneur I know sold his company for $8 million. His friend immediately bought a Ferrari and a penthouse, posting constantly. He bought a 2015 Honda Accord, kept his modest apartment, and told absolutely nobody. 3 years later, his loud friend was broke from lawsuits and bad investments. He quietly had 12 million. The costume you wear determines the life you live. Dress poor, stay rich, live free. Number 6. The ancient Chinese bamboo philosophy. Wait, the most important part is in the following story. Americans expect instant visible results. Work hard for 1 year, you should have something to show for it, right? A nicer car, a better apartment, designer clothes, something people can see and acknowledge. When wealth building looks slow and invisible, they quit and buy status symbols instead. But ancient wisdom teaches something completely different. The greatest growth always happens underground, where nobody can see it. The Chinese have a parable about the bamboo tree that reveals this pattern perfectly. You plant a bamboo seed and water it faithfully every single day. Year 1 passes. Nothing visible happens. Year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, still nothing breaks through the surface. No sprout, no growth, nothing your neighbors can see. Then, suddenly, in year 6, the bamboo shoots up 90 feet in just 6 weeks. The question everyone asks is, did it grow in 6 weeks or 5 years? And the answer changes everything. It grew for 5 years. All that time when nothing was visible, the root system was spreading deep and wide underground, building the foundation that would make the explosive growth possible. I'll tell you something that many people regret for the rest of their lives, just because they didn't realize it in time. Wealth building follows the exact same pattern. Years 1 through 5 feel like nothing's happening. You're driving an old car while friends are leasing BMWs. You're living modestly while they're posting vacation photos. They look successful. You look like you're struggling. But underground, invisible to everyone, your investment roots are spreading deeper and wider every single month. Then years 6 through 10 arrive, and compound interest hits critical mass. Your wealth shoots up exponentially while their leases end, their vacation debt lingers, and they're still broke. You stayed silent during the root building years. Now you're financially free while they're still trapped. 2 college friends, both started investing at 25. The first posted every financial milestone, bought a new car at 27 and a condo at 29. The second drove a beater, lived with roommates, and invested silently. At 35, the first had $40,000 in net worth after a decade of visible success. The second had $400,000 after a decade nobody saw. If your wealth is visible in year 3, you're building it wrong. The deepest roots grow in complete darkness. Number 7. The Warren Buffett Invisibility Shield. All of the above will be meaningless if you miss the last detail. People think once you finally get rich, you can stop hiding and start showing it. I worked hard for decades. I deserve to enjoy this visibly, they say. But here's the brutal truth that destroys more fortunes than any market crash. The moment you become truly wealthy is exactly when invisibility becomes most critical. Warren Buffett is worth over $100 billion. He could live in a different mansion every month, drive a new supercar every week, and hire a staff of 50 people. Instead, he lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. He drives himself places. He eats McDonald's breakfast. He wears cheap suits that look like they came from a department store clearance rack. Most people seeing him on the street wouldn't guess he's wealthy. Do you see anything unusual? The answer is right here. Buffett once said something most people completely missed. The less visible your wealth becomes, the more it multiplies. Every dollar spent making wealth visible is a dollar that can't compound. Every hour spent managing a luxury lifestyle is an hour not spent building more wealth. Invisibility equals maximum compound efficiency. Here's the pattern that should terrify anyone chasing status. 70% of NFL players go broke within 5 years of retirement. 60% of NBA players are broke within 5 years. 70% of lottery winners are broke within 7 years. What do they all have in common? They made their wealth extremely visible, and it destroyed them. Compare that to self-made millionaires. 90% drive cars over 5 years old. 80% live in middle-class neighborhoods. 75% buy clothes at regular stores. They could easily afford luxury. They actively choose invisibility instead. A tech executive had $2 million at 45. He bought an $800,000 house, a $100,000 car, and joined an expensive country club. He looked wealthy and posted about success constantly. At 55, he's still working and stressed. Can't afford to quit. His colleague had $2.2 million, kept his $300,000 house and $20,000 car, and zero social media. At 52, he retired completely free. Same starting wealth, opposite visibility strategy, totally different outcome. The ultimate flex isn't what strangers see, it's the freedom nobody knows you have. So here's what you need to understand. Invisible wealth isn't about hiding. It's an ancient strategy perfected across millennia. The Talmud, the Stoics, Babylon, the Bible, Chinese wisdom, Buffett, every culture that built lasting wealth discovered the same truth. Silence multiplies, visibility destroys. This week, eliminate one visible wealth signal from your life. Stop all financial posts on social media for 30 days. Track the psychological shift. You'll actually feel wealthier because you're building instead of performing. Remember, every dollar spent looking rich is a dollar stolen from becoming rich. Comment "silent wealth" right now if this changed your perspective. Tell me which ancient principle hit you hardest, and tag someone who needs to stop flexing on Instagram and start building in silence. Next video. Why real millionaires drive 10-year-old cars. The invisible compound effect. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. Remember the ancient proverb, empty vessels make the most noise. Your neighbor with the faded Camry and Target shirts isn't struggling. They're winning a game you didn't even know existed. Build like bamboo, invisible for years, unshakable forever. See you on the silent side of wealth.